Hi, welcome to The Diner, where we help you eat clean and live lean. I'm your host, Ian Lauer, and with us today is Tad the Diet Coach.
Thank you very much, Ian, for having me on the show, and thank you for the viewers for tuning in to see us.
We have a great topic for you today. We're talking about protein. I know you've seen a lot of protein stuff, but today is a really important talk. We're talking about denaturing of protein, or the denature of protein, during cooking or preparation. So, some people like to cook with protein powders.
Yeah, this is a great whey protein. This is mine.
Of course, it has the Tad the Diet Coach on there, so it's the best. And also, people, of course, eggs are a great source of protein. And then any meats. I mean, here we have ground turkey. We could be talking about chicken, fish, whatever the case may be. The question, though, is really this whole denaturing thing that happens when you cook protein. So can you tell us a little bit about the denaturing process and what that means?
Absolutely, that's a fantastic question. So I'll explain a little bit about denaturing first, and then I'll try to answer the question here, which is whenever you cook foods, and it could be irradiated, it could be actually irradiated food, or because that denatures food, applying acids to food will denature food. Anything that changes the structure, the cellular structure walls, and actually there's some downsides to denaturing foods in general, especially proteins. And but most people focus on this bioavailability issue, which is, does it decrease bioavailability? What happens when you eat? What happens when you eat the protein? And essentially, it does decrease bioavailability. But the caveat is this: that not enough to really concern ourselves with the food not being good for our systems or not being useful for us. So, for instance, whey protein, which is on the best of the list here, whenever you cook with whey protein, if you cook with it, it will denature it by 1 or 2%. But the bioavailability on whey protein is about 98% in its natural state. So going down to 96 or 97% really isn't much. You don't lose much of the protein of the elements of the protein and its usefulness in our systems and to our bodies. Eggs is second on the list. So when you cook with eggs, actually the interesting thing about eggs, when you can easily see the denaturation process of this, but when you put it in the pan and start to cook it, egg whites go from a translucent state to this white, hard sort of state, and that's the denaturing process. It loses about 2%, 2-3%, but it's only 1 or so % behind whey protein. So in other words, if you had to rank bioavailability in terms of denaturation, whey protein is definitely by far a 1 or 2% higher. Eggs is second on the list. And then when you get to things like meats, and it doesn't matter what kind of meat, you go all the way down from 96% bioavailability to 78%. So that's the difference. Does it make meat worse for you? No, not necessarily. It just makes it, and you need to denature it actually, because you got to kill some of the bacteria, things like that are associated with it. So that's the cost of eating meat in the state that we have it in, is that we have to cook it, denature it to kill the bacteria and that kind of thing. But it does also obviously affect taste and flavor. But in terms of its long-term bioavailability and long-term benefits to our system as fitness people, bodybuilders, as people in general, we need it. So while the bioavailability does go down, it's not something that doesn't make it inert, and it doesn't make it useless. So it's very, very functional.
Well, those are great points, and I guess it's important to say, one of the take-home messages is, it's okay to cook your protein. It's actually preferred as opposed to getting salmonella or some other issue.
Or some kind of bacterial issue, or even there's little tiny microorganisms that live on meat and fish and things like that aren't the best for our systems.
Oh God, I'm being attacked by microorganisms. So if you're at home, go ahead and cook. Don't be afraid to knock it down a couple points on the bioavailability scale. Stay healthy so you don't miss weeks and weeks of training or anything worse.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for watching us here at The Diner, and make sure you click back soon for more great episodes.